anybody that knows anything, we're asking that you please step forward and give that information to the authorities.
It's been almost a year since 14-year-old Jamir Alfred was shot and killed. His family is still waiting for someone to come forward with information that leads to the person or persons who killed him. There's now a reward at $15,000 for information in that case. Joining us now with more on that and some other cases is Darlene Costanza with Crimestoppers. First of all, the crime rate in the city is very disturbing. I mean, you know, Metropolitan Crime Commission says we're way up from figures in 2019, and our murder rate this year is already higher than the murder rate last year, and the year's not over yet.
No, it is alarming, and you know, we're seeing this nationwide, and we're seeing, you know, several larger cities seeing the same increase in violent crime, particularly if it's not homicide, certainly carjackings. We know that last month, I believe it was reported, it was the highest incident of carjackings for the city.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, today it's so important that people understand how we work, because Eric, after all these years, I get the same questions over and over again. How do you protect me? How do you keep me anonymous? Do I really get cash? And the answer to that is, you know, absolutely. You know, we've been around longer than I've been with Crimestoppers, 26 years. And
Yeah.
We've been around since 1976 nationally. And this program is intended to let you be part of this, you know, team that we need.
And
the cases that
Darlene, we just ran a soundbite with Al Mims, who has been a crime fighter for years in this town. And he said, you know, people do see stuff. They do see. A lot of times they're afraid, and that's the whole idea behind Crimestoppers is your name is never given out. No one ever knows that you were the one who turned a person in.
Absolutely, Eric, and that's the most important thing, because you see things every day. Yesterday we had a great tip on some guns being unloaded from a car, you know, multiple weapons, and law enforcement went out immediately. But you know, we're getting tips from all over the state. And for these folks who are continuing to see this, and certainly in our area, when you're continuing to see this type of activity, you know, you can't just stay quiet. In the cases that we have today, I mean, there are increased rewards, and part of the reason why we're showing these is because it's either an anniversary or there is a large reward.
Yeah.
But, you know, whatever motivates you, if it's not just safety for your family, it should, well, if the money's the motivator right now for Christmas time, you know, you do get cash rewards. I mean, this is something that you claim if it leads to an arrest or an arrest and indictment in a homicide. But I mean, $15,000 on the table, you know,
Yeah.
So something should be a motivating factor to just end this wave.
Just the fact that a 14-year-old boy was shot to death, and it's been almost a year that Jamir Alfred was shot and killed. You know, somebody has to know something.
Absolutely. We know that people know something. We've gotten tips on this case. I have stood with this mom and dad. You know, Jamir was not the intended target. It was the individuals that he was with that evening. We have been told was one of those was the intended target. And we've gotten tips from the community. But can you only imagine being the parents where you're just sitting back waiting for that one piece of information to finalize this, you know, the name of the suspect to make that arrest. And this family has gone out and been advocates for other families. So, you know, when you look at paying it forward, you know, taking your pain and using it for positive, Miss Larisha, she's done that. Her family has done that. They've started their own foundation in Jamir's name. And she's just one of the many families that, you know, if you're out there, think about if this was you and you know that people were out there, you know, he was not the target. Come forward. It is a safe way.
And the problem is there are so many of these murders and crimes that go unsolved, and that's the hard part.
Absolutely. I mean, for us, we deal with hundreds of victims, you know, and, you know, then the other case that we had today was Mr. Richard Washington. And with Mr. Washington, his friends and family have increased the reward to $10,000. Now, this is a man who had just opened a business in the French Quarter area. And, you know, this is what we need. We need entrepreneurs to come here and help our community. And just as he announces his business, he's walking home on October 10th, and he was gunned down in the back of his in the backyard of his home at 2200 block of Burgundy Street.
Yeah.
It was actually 2 days after opening his wing taxi business on Toulouse. You know, and we've gotten some information. Law enforcement has really worked this case, but, you know, obviously we need more. And this is, again, just one of the many that the citizens who have the information, when you use your, you know, Crimestoppers, we only give tip numbers. We never take anything from you to identify you. Number one, we protect you.
Yeah.
And then when you pay it out, you're paid out in cash. You know, so we need to get over this hump of not getting involved, because law enforcement will never be able to do it all. And we've said that year after year.
Yeah, and the
Let's
crime,
make 2022 the right year, you know?
the crime doesn't affect just the person involved or the families. It affects all of us because it puts a pall on this city that is just, you know, hard to remove.
Absolutely. You know, so if you feel that, you know, I know for me, when I have a home in New Orleans where my family is, and when I hear gunshots, and I'm hearing gunshots in the area where I grew up, you know, it's just heartbreaking because
Yeah.
it wasn't like that. You know, so we need to step up as a community, wherever you may live, and help.
All right, Darlene, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Remember, you can get a cash reward from Crimestoppers by helping them solve any crime across the metro area. All it takes is a phone call. Remember, they do not track your number. They never take your name. You will never have to go to court. The number is on the screen. It's 504-822-1111.